Part 71. Returning home. As the Muslims were returning to Medina, rumors already spread that there was a war and that the Muslims were victorious. However, they could not internalize such a shocking event until Zayd ibn Haritha stormed into Medina riding the Prophet's camel, named Al-Qaswa. Zayd galloped in, chanting, "Allahu Akbar," listing off the names of the Quraysh's elite that were killed. Medina was thrust into elation, and the Muslims celebrated joyfully. In a tragic juxtaposition, Uthman ibn Affan heard the celebration as he returned from the cemetery after burying the Prophet's daughter, Ruqayya. The Battle of Badr was the single most joyous occasion in the history of Islam to date. It was the first moment of relief and pride after 13 years of hardship and sacrifice. Nevertheless, tragedy struck the Prophet's household on the same day. It is as if Allah was reminding the Prophet that this world will always be a test, and that pure, unadulterated happiness is only for the hereafter. The Prophet then arrived with the Muslims alongside 70 prisoners of war. Due to the sheer number of captives, the Prophet held each Muslim responsible over the person they captured, and he himself hosted the chieftains of the Quraysh. The Muslims were ordered to personally host their captives and treat them as well as they would their own guests. Never in the history of humankind has a military leader, let alone a prophet, personally hosted prisoners of war in their own house. Sauda, the wife of the Prophet, had a momentary lapse as she entered the house and saw Suhail ibn Amr, the most senior figure amongst the captives, sitting in the corner. Not realizing that the Prophet was present, and momentarily forgetting her own Islamic identity, she felt a wave of tribal shame, blurting,
"O Abu Yazid, you surrendered. Why did you not die an honorable death rather than live as a prisoner?"
Sauda narrated herself.
"I did not realize what I even said until I heard the Prophet next to me say, 'Oh, Sauda, are you stoking him to fight against Allah and His Messenger?' I responded to him, 'O Messenger of Allah, I swear by Allah, the one with whom there is no other God, I did not realize what I said.' When I saw him sitting like this, I lost sense of myself and could not control myself."
The Prophet accepted her excuse and forgave her. It was a major blunder, indirectly invoking a fight against the Prophet. But the Prophet empathized with the heightened emotions of war and let it go. The Prophet ordered the companions regarding their captives, treat them with kindness. One captive, Abu Aziz, narrated that he was assigned to a group of the Ansar, and whenever they ate, they would give him the meat and bread, that is, luxury food items, while the Ansar ate dates and water. He felt so embarrassed that he would place the bread back in front of them, but they would insist. This level of kindness towards the enemy was unprecedented, so much so that many of the captives converted to Islam after witnessing such sincere generosity. The Prophet notified the Quraysh that the prisoners would be returned for ransom, and each prisoner's ransom was according to their financial capability, to the extent that the poorest of the prisoners were released with no charge. The literate captives were also offered their freedom in exchange for teaching the children of the Ansar how to read and write. In a largely illiterate society, the Prophet truly understood the value of literacy and education. Those who were both poor and illiterate were sent back without a ransom. When Musab ibn Umayr's brother Abu Aziz ibn Umayr was held captive, he saw Musab and rejoiced,
"Oh, Musab, help!"
Musab then turned to his captor and said,
"Make sure he does not escape, because his mother is a very wealthy woman, who will pay whatever it takes for him."
Shocked, Abu Aziz responded,
"Oh, brother, is this how you treat me?"
Without missing a beat, Musab pointed to his captor and replied,
"He is my brother, not you."
The Islamic ties of brotherhood were deeply entrenched in his heart, something a tribal pagan simply could not fathom. The Ansari that captured Al-Abbas, notably with the help of an angel, approached the Prophet and offered to gift Al-Abbas to him. But the Prophet declined and said, "Do not decrease his ransom by one single coin." The Prophet ordered the companions not to kill Al-Abbas because he knew that his heart did not have animosity, but he was also sternly against nepotism of any kind, and insisted that he be treated the same as the other captives. Al-Abbas approached the Prophet and said,
"O Messenger of Allah, why is there a ransom on me when I am a Muslim?"
The Prophet said, Allah knows best as to whether your Islam is true? In other words, it may be true, but we must judge according to the apparent. He continued, if what you say is true, Allah will give you something better. Al-Abbas replied,
O Messenger of Allah, you put my ransom as 4,000 dirhams, but I do not have that much money.
The Prophet replied, where is the money that you and al-Fadl, his wife, hid on such and such day? You said to her, if I ever die, this money will go to our children. Where is that money? Al-Abbas immediately responded,
I swear by the one who sent you with the truth that you are the messenger of Allah. No one knew about that.
Al-Abbas was a self-proclaimed Muslim, but perhaps certainty did not enter his heart until that moment. He later recalled,
Verse 70 of Surah Al-Anfal was revealed about me.
In it, Allah states,
O Prophet, tell the captives in your custody, if Allah finds goodness in your hearts, He will give you better than what has been taken from you, and forgive you. For Allah is all-forgiving, most merciful. Surah 8, verse 70.
Al-Abbas received so many blessings from Allah that he would later say,
O Messenger of Allah, I wish you took much more from me, so that Allah may multiply His favors upon me.
Another notable incident was the case of Ammar, the son of Abu Sufyan. Abu Sufyan, now the de facto leader of the Quraysh, was being pressured to pay his son's ransom until he said,
Do they expect me to give up my money along with my blood? They killed Hanzala, my other son, and now they want to make me penniless to retrieve Ammar. Let them keep him.
Abu Sufyan suffered peak humiliation, as all his contemporaries and seniors were wiped out due to his call to arms. The irony, however, is that he would only ever offer to leave his son captive with someone he trusts to protect him. Were it not for his deep-seated respect for the Prophet, he would have paid his ransom at the earliest opportunity. Many months later, Abu Sufyan kidnapped an elderly Muslim by the name of Sa'd ibn Nu'man as he was trading in Mecca. As explained, Mecca is considered a haram, and this belief was upheld by both the Muslims and the pagans. Abu Sufyan nevertheless contravened the sanctity of the haram to gain leverage, demonstrating the hypocrisy of the pagans when opposing the Muslims. He said that Sa'd ibn Nu'man would not be released until his son was returned. Sa'd's tribe pled with the Prophet on his behalf, and the Prophet accepted their pleas and released Ammar